Hey guys, what's up? So I realized I kind of skipped over the part of the video where I actually teach you how to move the camera towards the words that are popping up on screen, which is a pretty essential part of making lyric videos, although it's probably the worst and most tedious part of it. But it has to be done, so I'm going to try to show you as quick as possible here. There is third-party software such as SureTarget by Video Copilot, probably other ones that do this exact thing. You basically just put the plugin in and then you basically target the text layers and the camera will automatically move towards it. But I find that it's not, I don't personally like it the best, and it also can be a bit slow if you start adding camera movement and a bunch of other stuff to it. You need a lot of RAM for it. So I usually like to just stick to the basics and do it the old-fashioned way. So I set up a really basic scene here. It's just got the song at the bottom, background, midground, foreground, some particles, and a lens flare, and just some basic stuff, and then an overall color all up here. You can set it up however you want. So I got a camera here. I'm just going to add some expressions to it to give the thing a bit of life. In the second or third video, I went over how to add camera wiggle and what it all means. So if you want to know what I'm doing here more thoroughly, just go back and watch that. But I'm just adding a wiggle expression to the position part of the camera. So now you'll see the camera starts moving around a bit. I'm also going to add it to point of interest. Maybe do this a bit differently, like that. Now we're getting a lot of sort of like jerky motion movement, and I'm also going to add a little bit of wiggle to the Z rotation. Just kind of looks like the camera's bobbing around left and right, rotating a little bit. It's a bit much. There we go. So now we just got some basic movement on the camera happening at all times. All right, let's just get right into it. So I got an excerpt of a song here from a pretty cool band, my own. So we're going to just start putting the words in right away. So first things first, just click the text box, type it in. So I think he says, you can press, here, I'm just going to delete this. You can press Command and period, or Control period, and it'll play the audio layer. So he says, if poverty gives birth. So I'll start it one word at a time. So if, there we go. This is why you'll see now it's pretty tedious and time consuming, especially if you're going one word at a time. Okay, so I just basically add some motion blur and I turn it on to be a 3D layer. Just going to pop that under the camera. Now I'm going to go to the P for position, and then the Z axis. I'm going to bring it forward quite a bit, maybe minus 1000, just closer towards the camera, maybe even 2000. Okay. Now I'm going to click A for anchor, and I'm just going to align it so that the anchor is in the middle of the text box there. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate it in. So I'm going to click on the X rotation. So it's at 0 now. I'm going to move that over a little bit and then pull this back. It's there. So now it swings in like that. And if you right click on the keyframe and click Easy Ease, it'll just kind of do like it'll come to a nicer stop. So there we go. So that's one word. So basically, I'm going to go through and do them all now. If poverty, and you just kind of want to line them up however you want. I'm realizing now that I might have pulled these words a bit too close to the camera, especially if I want to kind of zoom in on them and stuff. So I'm going to bring these back to minus 1000 there. There we go. So I'm also just going to change the color of them so you guys can see it a little easier. Okay. Poverty gives also, in case you haven't noticed, I'm just duplicating these text layers. So that way that little rotation that I set up on them is on all the layers. Okay, so another thing I'm going to do too, just for now, just to show you guys all the kinds of things you can do, is I'm going to bring these last two words forward a little bit in the z-axis, so they're actually ahead of the other words. They're obviously going to go out of position, so you'll just need to drag them back. And I'm realizing that's the last word. So we'll bring this one back. Okay, so whatever, that's fine for now. I'll try to do this as quick as possible. I don't want to waste a bunch of time being picky. Okay, so now basically before we start moving the camera and stuff, we have all these words and they're all lined up at the start. So they're all going to come in like that. So we basically want to listen through and find out where each word comes in. So if you hold down Command and Scrub, you can hear the audio underneath. So you kind of want to find where each word comes in. So right there is where he says if. So I'm going to drag this to the start right there. I'm going to scrub forward. Right there is where he says poverty. So I'm going to drag that to there. There's where it says gives. And there's where it says birth, roughly. All right, so now I have all the resolutions turned down pretty low just so this goes quick for you guys. But I'll give it a RAM preview here, and you can just see it'll play back with audio once it's done rendering. All right, so here we go so far. All right, so now the next thing we want to do, so this is where those share target plugins or whatever come into hand. If you want to use them, like I said, I just like doing it the old-fashioned way. So there's a bunch of different ways you could do this. Right now I'm going to start if. So I'm going to, on the camera layer, I'm going to work with the position tool a lot. I might also work with the point of interest tool. So have keyframes on both of those. I'm also just going to right click on them and click easy ease. So now when I make keyframes from this point out, they'll all be like that. So they're a little smoother. If you click U on the camera, it'll just show the keyframes activated. So there we go. So if, now it's going to come to poverty. So I'm going to have it zoom in on the word poverty. So I'm going to make another keyframes here of the same one so that it's just static here. So this one actually doesn't need to do anything. And then quick zoom in right here. And I'm just going to push it forward. There we go. I noticed the color changed and stuff too, and that's because when it flies past the lens flare, it's kind of changing the entire look of it. So I'm going to probably, what I'm going to do actually for now is just so we can get straight to the point, I'm going to turn off the lens flare and I'm going to make the text all white again. Just so you guys can see. Okay. So now we have the camera flying into the word poverty. And we can just hold it there for a bit. You can do it like this is pretty much where you guys get to have fun with it. You could even click it again and just have it come even closer. Maybe it moves over a bit. And then we'll make more keyframes here. And then it's going to jump. Now see, these words are actually further ahead. So we're going to have the camera jump back a bit, not that much. And down. So now this word's going to jump onto here. And then I'm just going to have it now zoom right back out to the original keyframes like that. So I'll do another RAM preview quick. And then after this, I'll show you guys one more thing that's kind of cool to do. But yeah, just keep in mind this is a long, tedious process, and there's a million different ways that you can do it. Right? All right, so then the last thing that I can show you is in the camera options, under camera options, you can turn the depth of field on, and this will basically make things come in and out of focus. So the aperture, we'll turn it up a little higher, maybe to like 60, and maybe even more, like 80. And the blur level can be 125. Okay, and then we're going to want to play with the focus distance. So right now you can see the background is out of focus. This is showing you how far ahead it's focused. So you just kind of got to find where the text is. So another way is if you just check in the Z-axis. This is around 1,000. So okay, well that's fine for now. So everything's kind of in focus, and then as it zooms in, the whatever's closer is going to go out of focus. So we need to change this back, the depth. There we go. So now you can see that word's in focus. And it does that little zoom in. It's probably going to go to focus again. So we'll change that to 750. There we go. Keyframe there. And then it's going to jump forward. And this is what's cool about putting the depth with words. So this is probably like 400, 500. There we go. So now it's going to jump to these words that are ahead a little bit. And you can see the other words behind it are out of focus in the background. And then it's going to come back to here. And if you just make it about 3,000, most things will be in focus. All right. So that's pretty much the basics of it. I'll let that RAM preview. So yeah, those are pretty much the basics. Like I said, there's a million different ways to do it, and it's the most tedious part of it. So you just kind of got to play around with it. Remember to actually think about what you're actually doing so that you can learn to do this and do it however you want and apply it however you want, because there's so many different scenarios. You don't just want to be only able to apply it to the tutorials that you've seen, right? So here we go. All right, so those are the basics. I'm going to try to have more videos for you guys sooner than later. Yeah, take care.